Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're able to take time out of your busy day and spend some time with us. Hopefully, we'll keep it under 30 minutes as advertised. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to start off by introducing myself. My name is Drew Simons. I'm the managing director here at SciCon CRM. And just to give you a little bit of my background, I've successfully implemented logistics solutions here in Canada, in the US, and also in the Caribbean. I've got over 20 years of experience with CRM as a core business strategy, and it is my life. It's what I do, and as such, not only do I run SciCon CRM, but I'm a professor at Seneca College's Graduate School of Media and Marketing, where I teach courses to graduate students on CRM, and in fact designed the curriculum there. And now I'm just going to do a little bit of paid advertising about SciCon CRM. I'd like to introduce what we do. We really focus on three main areas. We focus on customer acquisition, customer retention and development, and operational excellence. And there are two areas that we are particularly focused on, two industries. We do a lot of work in the logistics area, and hence the topic for today. We also have done a fair bit of work in the financial services industry here in Canada. We were founded back in 1998 and we're headquartered in Toronto. And we have a fairly diverse team of professionals, which includes consultants who do things like work with our clients to understand what their issues are, help them design solutions, go through the whole customer acquisition, retention development, and operational excellence exercise, and uncover solutions, help with training, that type of thing. And then they are in turn supported by our teams of graphic designers, digital marketing specialists, we have trainers, and when it starts to get technical, we have programmers and network engineers on the team. So enough about us and me, and let's dive into the meat of our presentation. So as I said, I'm going to try and keep it under 30 minutes. I have a habit of sometimes going on a bit longer than I should, but Drew Safran, who set this up, is in the room with me here with a stopwatch to make sure that I stay on track. And this is our inaugural session for SciCon dealing with logistics. And our 30 minutes or less series focuses on topics of interest to the logistics industry. And we've really presented it as a continuing series to help the owners and senior managers of logistics businesses like yours improve the overall profitability of their business. And I just want to take a minute to explain the purpose of the 30 minutes or less. So we really are going to provide today some high-level information. As I'm sure you can understand, we can't cover everything that's associated with a CRM strategy in a single 30-minute session. There's no way we can get all the answers out to you, but the point of having a series is at least today we'll be able to lay some foundations, and the following sessions hopefully will allow us to explore it in a little more detail. So, having said that, what am I going to cover in the 30 minutes we've allotted for today? First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about the challenges that are facing the logistics industry. And then secondly, we're going to talk, as I mentioned, at a high level about some of the answers that may assist in growing your business. And then we're going to conclude by talking about the hard work that's involved in implementing the answer. So let me start off by talking about the challenges facing the industry. So the first thing, and we've got this, I love these little icons that we've used in this presentation. You'll see the gentleman in the lower right-hand corner. He's fighting against a wind, and quite often we refer to these challenges as headwinds in the marketplace. And the first is, of course, market growth. So we found that the overall market for outsourced logistics has grown at an annual compound growth rate of about a little over 4% between 2006 and 2014. And so for those firms who want to grow faster than that, we can't rely on market growth alone. to achieve your growth objectives. Competition is severe in the industry, and it takes many different forms and ranges anywhere from what we refer to as a smile and dial, the telemarketing call centers looking for on-demand opportunities, to fully integrated 3PLs. And as a result, pricing is impacted by the level of competition that we face. So we want to grow, we're facing competition, so we'd like to get the message out there. But we do have things that we need to consider, legislation, particularly here in Canada, things like Canada's anti-spam legislation or CASL, which has affected our ability to send out marketing messages. And we also have new types of competition emerging in the marketplace. So some of these are things like Uber-like sharing services, which are expanding to include deliveries, and some technology which honestly at one time seemed like science fiction. Some people still think it's science fiction, but the reality is it's in test right now. And what I'm talking about are things like drone deliveries. We've seen that Amazon's testing them, and driverless vehicles. So these may be a bit in the future, but we need to be aware that these new types of competition are going to be facing the industry. So given the challenges that we face, what's the answer? So I'm going to walk you through a few things, our view of what the answer is. And, some of it's not new, digital marketing. A lot of our clients, when we talk to them, we look at their digital resources, and the first thing that we look at is their website. So what's the status of their website? When was the last time it was refreshed? Is it constantly being updated? Is it conforming to the things that will allow search engines to find them, for the organic type search engines? We've seen some success with pay-per-click campaigns, but if we're clicking through to the website, we have to make sure that the material that people are looking for when they make that click and then you're paying for it meets what they're looking for. And of course, whenever we talk website, we need to talk about search engine optimization. Is it easy for people to find you? Are they going to find relevant material? What's your positioning look like when people search for your services? We also, in the whole digital marketing portfolio, in spite of CASL, as long as we understand how CASL works and we stay on the right side of the legislation, email marketing continues to be a very strong option for us in terms of digital marketing. And of course, if we're doing this digital marketing, we need to make sure that we've got the content there. So content marketing is increasingly emerging as a way to get your message out. And of course, whenever we talk digital marketing, we need to include social media. So sites like LinkedIn to make sure that you are connected to the right people and getting your message out through LinkedIn. And there are other social media sites that are very effective, sites like YouTube, that will really, if you're in the whole content marketing area, can really increase the visibility of your firm. Now, something that we see having increasing success within the logistics industry is the role of referrals. And when we talk referrals, what are we talking about? Well, it could be somebody providing an introduction within a company that you're already doing business, but maybe there are areas of the organization where you're not serving their needs. So that's an opportunity for a referral. We see situations where one of your existing clients will leave the firm that they're with, go to another firm, and can refer you into that new firm. There are also the people in your social circle who know what you do, who could be a source of referrals that you can tap into. And referrals are powerful because once you get an introduction, this type of referral, there's a level of trust that's been established that's very difficult to establish otherwise. So referrals can be a very important source of business for you. And also keep in mind that the person who's making the introduction, who's making that referral, likely knows your capabilities and the needs of the person that they're introducing you to, and they already think you're a good fit. So you're well down the path to establishing a good network. But if you're thinking about referrals, and quite often I'll go out and work with clients and I'll ask them about referrals and they'll say, yeah, I'd like referrals. I just feel like I'm not getting enough. So there are some questions that if you want to go down this path that you need to ask yourself. So first of all, how referable are you? And from our perspective, usually our clients, when we first meet them, aren't asking themselves this question, or they're not asking it correctly. So it's not only a question of asking people for referrals, it's about making sure that the conditions are right for your customers to refer you, whether it's within their own organization, within an association that they belong to, or if they're moving to a new company or a new position, then we've got to make sure that in fact you are referable. The other thing that you need to spend some time on is making sure you have a clear idea of the type of business that you want to pursue so that you're getting the right type of referrals. And then finally, you want to ask yourself, if you're trying to generate referrals, is it easy to refer you? So just asking for referrals isn't enough. What you've got to make sure is that if someone wants to make the referral, it's very easy for them to execute, whether it's through LinkedIn or it's easy to make a phone call. So the next area that I want to talk about is networking, and networking continues to be a very powerful tool, which if used correctly can open many doors. And there are many different types of networking that can happen. So I briefly mentioned associations a minute ago, but do you belong to the same associations that potential clients would belong to so that you can do networking there? It's those types of things that you want to be on the lookout for as networking events. And again, if you're going to go down this networking path, you've got to be prepared. Many of the questions that you need to ask yourself are very similar to the questions I raised when we're talking about referrals. You know, are you connected? Are you going after the right potential customers? So in this presentation, I talked about the answer. Often I'll label it as the easy answer. And the reason that I do that is I want to differentiate the answer from the hard work that's required to get ready to implement the answer. And so where I'm going to start off in talking about the hard work is this concept of the client journey. And some of the terms I'm about to use, I think you'll find familiar. I'm sure you've heard them before, but I'm going to add a slightly different spin to it so that by the end of it, I think you'll see what I mean by being the hard work. So the first place that we start is with the suspect. And at this point, what you're doing is you're confirming whether this potential client or clients that you're going after fits with your target market profile. So a couple of things that we need to pay attention to. Number one is, first of all, we need to have a potential client. But secondly, and more importantly, and where the hard work appears is they need to fit your target market profile. So do you actually have a target market profile in place? So now we've determined that they fit our profile and we are beginning our approach, and that's where we label them as a prospect. And the interesting thing about referrals or networking is this is often where they come into the journey, is at the prospect rather than the suspect. So we've got a little bit of a leg up. And then the next step in the client journey, of course, is become a client. And this is where you've started to do some business with them. I want to take a second here. I'm going to go through some further steps, but moving beyond this step means that you've made a commitment to operational excellence. So, you know, I've opened up the session today talking about, okay, how do we get these additional clients through, whether it's digital marketing, referrals, networking. So that's all to get our suspects, prospects, and get them to start doing business with us. But to move anywhere beyond this, we really have to have made that commitment to operational excellence. And so we move them from being a client to being a satisfied client. And at this point, what we're saying is that we have most, if not all of their business, and we are meeting their expectations. We haven't quite gotten them to the point where they're ready to refer, but we are meeting their expectations. And so we want to take the satisfied client and we want to move them to this next level, which is the loyal client. So now we've got a client who not only are we doing most or all of their business, but they're very resistant to switching suppliers because of this loyalty that we've built up, that they have a strong and positive attitude to your firm. And although they're not quite at the point of actively making referrals for us, they are willing to be a reference. So that if we are working with a prospect and they say, yeah, I'd like to speak to some other clients to see what their experience has been with you, we can pull out this list of loyal clients and pick a couple that they can speak to. And then what we're seeing, what I've seen in the industry and what represents a change is moving beyond just being a loyal client to being an advocate. And this is where our clients are starting to talk very positively about their experience with us. They're not hesitating if someone asks them for their advice on who they should deal with, they're going to choose you. And so they're generating referrals through positive word of mouth, and it's not only person to person, but we start to see this emerge in social media sites such as LinkedIn, where people are starting to attest to our competency in the areas that we're focused on. And by focusing on creating advocates, so doing the hard work in terms of operational excellence, the hard work in terms of identifying who our targets are, we're setting the table for referrals, as long as at the same time we've made it easy for our advocates to refer to us. If we get them to the advocate point, it means that we've satisfied some basic conditions that are required to be in place in order for people to refer to us. So your customer is perceiving strong value that they're receiving from you, and beyond that, they feel good about the relationship that they have with you. And by getting them to this point, there are some byproducts that are produced. So as you move your clients along the journey from suspect to advocate, you're creating the trust and the commitment that will make your clients what I refer to as a competitor proof. And I put that in double quotes. Because of course, it's good to be acquiring additional clients, but we want to make sure that other people aren't taking our existing clients away from us. And so this process of getting them to being advocates means that they are essentially competitor proof and we're not going to lose them. And the steps that we take to create advocates will force us to make sure that in fact we are delivering at the operational excellence level. So let's talk about some of the hard work beyond the client journey that we need to get done in order for this to be successful. First of all, and these are going to be probably titles of follow-up sessions to this one, we need to do some work on segmentation. We need to look at what type of clients are best served by the services that we offer. And we also need to make sure that the clients that we select will generate the type of profitability that we're looking for. Because, in order to have a good relationship, it's not only got to be good for our clients, but it's got to be good for us. We need to have a process in place to measure our referability, because that's what's going to tell us whether our clients have made that journey to the advocate stage. If we're not measuring this, we don't know whether they're there. So we need to get our clients to tell us how referable we are and why. And that will allow the type of feedback that will help us to improve the way that we're delivering. And of course, that will drive us towards operational excellence. In order for this to be successful, in order for what I'm putting forward today to be successful, there has to be a commitment to putting your client service at the heart of your value proposition. And then finally, this is an interesting, actually I shouldn't say finally, but additionally, this is an interesting one, and that is understanding the link from employee satisfaction to client satisfaction to advocacy to ultimately our improved business performance. And understanding employee satisfaction in the logistics industry is especially important because we're facing, in some areas, a tight labor market. And now I'll say finally, we need to have key performance indicators, or KPIs, that will help us measure our progress to see that we're getting along the process in the way that we want. So I said I'd keep it under 30 minutes. I think we're probably running at about 20 minutes, so hopefully I've met that. I wanted to start very high level, just talking about the challenges, what we propose as the answer, and some of the hard work that is involved in getting you to the answer. Hopefully you found this information helpful. We're going to be scheduling subsequent sessions where we'll dive into some of these topics in more detail. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. My contact information is shown on the screen, or if you're looking for some assistance, we would be glad to help. Thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to talking to you again in the near future.